What is up, my beautiful people? Welcome to Mountain Motorsports in Roswell. And today, Ducati's brand new Supersport is getting a first try. This is a 2017. This is a regular model. And this should be a pretty good time. I love doing brand new bikes. So let it begin. Alrighty, Ducati, so you're giving us a Supersport that is ironically not a Supersport. So when I think of Supersport, I think of like CBR 600, R6, Yamaha R1, like stuff like that. This is supposedly more of a kind of sport touring or a kind of a overall bike. I don't know. We're gonna find out though. I've been told that the seat is very nice, so let's try it out. Okay, I can feel you on the nice seat. The seat is not bad at all. I don't like how close those handlebars get though. Whatever, I'll look past it. Okay, we got modes. If I hold it. Oh, Ducati, you and your confusing systems. Okay, so after trial and tribulation, I got the bike into urban mode. I'm gonna be very careful because I don't like these handlebars. I really don't. Alright, Ducati's Supersport. The seat's comfortable. The seat kind of reminds me of a Monster. I'm kind of leaned forward a little bit. I got a really comfy seat. I gotta admit, all the things everybody's been saying about the seat, I can confirm now. The seat's not bad. I like the seat a lot. My legs are a little more pinned up than I expected them to be. I keep feeling like I'm gonna, oh wow, okay. Let's calm down with that. I keep feeling like I'm going to stall for some reason. I don't know if that's just the way the bike sounds or what. So as far as height of the bike, you guys can see my legs are pretty bent. It's I wouldn't say they're really bent, but it's a hardcore like average size. Like it's not really short, not really tall, just it's a good size. Weight wise, it's a little on the heavier side. I was happy when I was moving around the dealership. It has those little back handles that you can get your hand up under the seat. Super helpful to move this bike around. Yeah, the bike just, it feels like it's gonna stall out early on. Oh, I like this. This, it's kind of making me feel more monster-ish than anything. I don't know if you guys can tell, but these mirrors, not only are they super tiny, but they are shaking like hell. I can't see anything out of them. I wonder if I hold them. The mirrors are shaking so much actually that I'm worried the session's going to be totally pointless. Let's see what shifting down feels like. Huh? Okay. So from what I've read, Ducati wants this bike to be its road bike. It's made supposedly to be in road and like on normal situations like most people would ride. It's not geared towards the track like something like a Panigale would be. The front feels a little compressible, if that makes sense. Like I put the brakes on, the front dives in a little bit. Engine braking pretty strong, more on the strong side than the mild side. I don't like the clutch. The clutch is making me feel like the bike's going to stall out, and it's not a good feeling. The bike seems to be nimble. It seems to be like a nimble fat kid, if that makes sense. Like, it'll go back and forth, but you can, I feel like I can feel the weight at slow speeds. I've kind of had my fill with urban, though. I definitely want to be in something different. Something that worries me, though, is I'm in urban mode and I'm going kind of slow, and the bike just doesn't feel like it's running optimally. I feel like in urban mode, everything should be chilled out and you should be totally fine with going down city streets, but I kind of get a little bit of a Panigale feeling of like, when I've ridden the Panigale, that bike just wants to go. It's like, if you're not riding the piss out of it, it's not happy. This bike kind of feels the same way. Now, this is a stock model. It does not come with a quick shifter, but it does have a quick shifter from the dealer that you can get installed. Yes, that's what I wanted. Alright, so double tap enter, hold it down once you hit the arrows up. Okay, so the modes aren't that complicated, but it's, you know, the first time ride, I don't ride Ducatis that often, so the modes are a little hard to make through. Now, if I understand correctly, touring mode should give me all my power, but it should regulate the throttle in a more smooth manner. So we should still experience a smooth bike, and I should have all the power, but, you know, should be in a smooth way. This tank is so high. This bike is just weird, man. I don't know if you guys could tell, but we've got this monster looking frame here. The seat's comfortable, and the seat is that long extended seat. Kind of reminds me of the Monster, but we've got a fully fared bike. It's got torque down low, so it's not a Panigale, and it's not like a Panigale. It's like a 937, something like that, cc engine. So we've got a big engine bike with low end torque. It's very interesting, because when I first heard this bike was released, I was like, Supersport, hell yeah, it's gonna be like its own thing. But it seems to be in that GS 1000F kind of range, that Honda VFR range. Let's see how touring is. Still feel like I'm gonna stall from the get-go. I gotta admit, man, the situation I'm sitting in is really interesting. I like it a lot. I'm leaned over enough to feel like I'm sporty, and I'm not too upright to feel like I should be chilling out. There's a really good median that this bike is hitting. I just wish my legs weren't so cramped up. That's kind of the only thing. I wish it was more relaxed leg position. The shaking is terrible. I feel like I'm on a KTM. Now we got the highway coming up here. I'm gonna get it into sport mode for the highway. I wonder if I can change modes on the go. Hit it up on sport, hold enter in, close gas. I have to close gas. Alright, gas is closed. Alright, you gotta close gas for a period of time and it changes modes. So we're in sport mode now. We're in full on everything the bike's got mode. God, I feel like the bike is barely idling right now. It's so weird. Yeah, this engine is insane. I like this. I think it's the same engine as the Hyper Motard. Please tell me that Ducati just took the frame of the Monster, the engine of the Hyper Motard, and the fairings of a Panigale. It made some weird, like, hybrid bike. Oh, now that feels good. Interesting. Because I'm kind of pitching this bike as like this kind of sport toury, take on long trips type thing, but leaning over, the bike feels really good. Now granted, that could be the tires. I got Rosso 3s on this thing, I think. Highway entrance. Oh, the bike shakes. I do not like the shaking at all. Good God, fourth gear at 7,000 going 95. Holy crap. Okay, now this is an opportunity to check out some cool things. Right now, with that kind of angled body position, the wind is terrible, but it's got this interesting little situation you can do this with. Come on, work, work, there it is. Alright, so you can lift the windscreen up. I kind of feel the wind right here, right at my chest, versus, yeah, now I can feel the wind like right here at the top of my stomach, right underneath my chest. Is that worth such a little thing? That's not bad. Alright, the key to this thing is use the middle and kind of lift up on it. Kind of feels best. Alright, so we've got that up. I'm going to scoot back. Yeah, so like right here, that's working good. I can't. Oh, the mirrors, they adjust well. Alright, now that I like. Yeah, let's adjust the mirrors and get a feel for it. Alright, so I guess I keep hitting the enter button because it keeps flashing the modes, which is not what I wanted to do. That's a sketch move. Do you want to do that sketch move? Yeah, whatever. Oh, let's just not get over for a second. There's always that thing of like, is the cop coming after me because I just went 100 something. Look at the front of the bike when I barely give it gas. Everything shakes. Oh, that's not good. I will say though, that engine braking, that's not bad. I really, and I mean really, like the power of this bike. It is usable. Like that's the best way I can describe the power on this bike, is usable. You guys hear me say stuff like the naked bikes are where it's at because it's usable power. This is like a sporty looking bike. Well, some people don't like the way it looks. I personally think the bike looks pretty cool. But this is a sporty bike with the power and the power delivery of a naked bike, which is like, that's the spot, man. Everybody's getting these 600s and 1000s. Man, you can't use that. This though, if I read correctly, man, it's the hyper motard engine. So if it is, then that whatever, however they like tuned it for this bike is great. Like this bike feels better than the hyper motard did, and it was like tall. Like this is a little bit shorter. Like this is where it's at, man. You got these higher handlebars that makes you feel comfortable doing tight turns. Suspension a little softer, so you get that exaggerated feeling when you're throttling up and braking. You know, you get that when you have a softer suspension like that. It kind of lifts a little bit and goes down a little bit when you're going forward and back. I'll show you what I mean. I'll throttle off pretty hard and watch the bike kind of lift a little bit. Alright, watch. And then if we brake, we don't want to brake right now, but if we brake, the bike kind of dips in a little bit. I don't know, it gives your body a more like, ooh, I'm going faster or braking harder than I thought it was. Oh, this gives me that old feeling of my SV650, where when I started riding, I wasn't used to power, and that bike it used to have some good power. The newer ones don't seem to have as much, but this bike has got that real fun type of power where it's usable on the street. One of the complaints I have about the bike is the dash. I kind of feel like this bike has this cool, like broody, futuristic kind of look, and then the dash kind of just looks like plain vanilla. I feel like this bike would be legit with a different dash, maybe a more updated one. Is that a cop? We don't know. Definitely is a cop, we now know. And again, I touched the mode dial, I guess. That's frustrating. I don't like that. So one thing I gotta give Ducati a break on is this model that I'm riding right now. This thing is at 12 grand. This bike costs $12,000. That's cheap for a Ducati with a 900 something cc engine. I don't know, man. To be able to own a Ducati for 12 grand brand new, like that's what an R6 costs brand new. An R6 has 600 cc's. Ducati's got a 937. And granted, it's a totally different style bike, but I'm just saying, God, I feel like I'm gonna stall every single time. This power, man, this is the power a sport bike should have. It feels phenomenal because the power's just there. It's a similar thing I told you guys on the Daytona. It's got that low end power to have fun with, and then once you get up in the revs, you can then still have a good time. Whereas the Supersport, ironically. Like a normal Super Sport, you got to rev that thing to hell, and then that's when the power starts coming on. You got the power just ready to go on this thing. I hit the modes again. That is an issue. That is a major issue. I don't know when I'm hitting them, but like at some point it's happening. That's frustrating. This is a really good mix of motorcycle, man. High handlebars make it no problem to flick back and forth while barely going. Got the engine to take you places. One thing I'm noticing is every now and then when I shift gears, look how, hold on, let me get it in neutral. Look how close that fairing comes to the shifter. You guys see this fairing? Like, that fairing is part of the entire body panel. Fairings on a Ducati, don't know if you guys know, are expensive. Fairings in general are expensive. I don't know if I would have placed such an important piece of plastic right there so close. Yeah, so it's a heavier bike, but then you get it over and my God, it feels okay. It feels good, actually. The bike feels really good when I lean it over, and for a bike that's kind of positioned to be a road bike, it seems like it would be an amazing track bike, which is great. Because like when you spend a shit ton of money on a bike, God, I want to take this thing to the mountains. When you spend a buttload of money on a bike, you want to be able to do a lot of stuff with it. I'm not gonna buy a bike for 12 grand and then only have a track bike out of it. Like, I ain't got that kind of money. Some people do, and power to you. Those guys that can just buy Panigales and make them track bikes, good for you. I'm happy for you. The majority of us though, like, our bike has to be able to do multiple things. It is also important to note that for the $12,000 you get in this bike for, you're also getting Ducati traction control and ABS. My God. Woo! First gear on power. Be careful. I love the way the weight of this bike feels when you get on the gas. I thought those cars were stopped for a second and I almost went. Let's follow the Honda that I want. This is the type of bike that you start riding and it gives you an invigorating feeling for riding. This bike did a phenomenal job of meeting that middle zone of comfortable, kind of a touring style and a super sport. I don't like the name. I don't like that it's called Super Sport because it's not a super sport bike. You know what I mean? An R6 is a super sport bike. When I think of super sports, I think of bikes that rev really high and can go really quick. They're super light and they're good on the track. That's kind of what my brain thinks when I think about a super sport. And this bike is not that. So I don't like the name. I feel like the little fairing down there is a little bit of a noob move. Like, Ducati should know better. Like, I know it's all about looks, but that fairing's gonna get rubbed raw or it's gonna get broken off by people shifting all the time right there by it. All of that being said, this bike is freaking legit. I'm willing to say that this might be the best seat I've ever ridden on. And now remember, the seat is a big combination of the riding position and the type of seat. And whatever the seat is, man, it does a really good job. You guys hear me describe a lot of bikes on these first rides, and something that I'm getting from this bike is when I lean the bike over, the bike is, like I was saying earlier, a little heavier, but that really helps the bike out. When I kind of am throwing it back and forth, there's a transition point where the bike's just chilling doing its thing, and I go over and lean into it. The bike's weight starts pushing it in the direction that I'm leaning the bike over. It is really confidence inspiring because it makes you feel like the bike is doing, it feels like you and the bike are working together at that point. I'm not having to force the bike around. It's very easily flicking back and forth, and you get these raised handlebars and it puts you above the weight of the bike so you can control it. I don't know, it's a really good combination. You know, everything kind of works together to make it this really good package. I love when bikes do that. I freaking love it. You give it a little tiny bit of throttle and it looks like you're a stunt man getting shot in the chest with a shotgun. Oh, it's so great. Oh, it's good. And see, now look, I'm chilling on a road on a residential street, not residential, but like a inner city street, just going 40 and third, casual. I'm even in sport mode. I can give it a little bit of throttle and move back and forth. Man, I like this bike a lot. I want you guys to remember, this bike is the lowest model and is stock. What in the hell? Ducati coming in with the clutch. Alright, let's do a little loop-de-loop around this Audi. Here's an example of all these high handlebars, man. I'm in a parking lot situation, no problem maneuvering around things. And that's that high handlebar, slightly upright body position. Alright, man, let's take a look at this thing. Man, I gotta be honest, guys, I didn't come into this really thinking I was gonna like this bike. The main thing I had heard from Mountain Motorsports was the seat was really nice. And I was like, okay, cool, you know, I like bikes with good seats. Check this thing out. This is the 2017 Ducati Supersport. This is the stock model. Let's get this thing down so it can look cooler. You know, the looks are hit or miss. Some people like it, some people don't. I think that shot is a really cool shot. My eyes typically go to the thinner lights here. They don't really think about these bigger lights. But I like it. It's got the sleek Panigale look, but it kind of looks like a VFR to me, honestly. I'm not a huge fan of such big body fairings. It's probably helpful when you're working on the bike to have these big body panels. You know, you just take off one body panel and you can get to it. I personally think the exhaust is... I feel like the exhaust could have done better. I don't like the silver, obviously. I don't like that giant freaking whatever the thing is at the bottom of the exhaust. It messes up this look. I even like the little, I like this little monster red frame, you know? I like that, but then you get like that. Come on, man. These wheels I love. I love the kind of triangular feel. Got that single-sided swing arm like a lot of the Ducatis. You know, if I was going to seriously buy this bike, because the price is so understandable, especially for a Ducati, I think I would up the front brakes. I think that's one thing this bike really needs, but you have to also consider the bike's 12 grand. Some of these Ducatis are like $26,000, $12,000. Could be a legit entry level to get you into the Ducati family. You know, and maybe that's what Ducati's doing. They're giving you a lower priced option, hoping you'll get in and then be like, man, I love Ducatis. I love the feeling these bikes give me. I want to upgrade. I want to go to a Panigale, or you want to go more street and, you know, go the monster route or something. God, I feel like I'm just talking a lot about this bike, so we're going to go ahead and listen to the exhaust. And guys, for every first ride that I do, I have a website, Chaseontwowheels.com, and I do a small little write-up. I give some stats on the bike, and I get a really nice sound recorder. So if you really want to hear what the bike sounds like and check out some nice photos, you can click the link in the description. That'll take you to Chaseontwowheels.com. But for now, we're going to listen to it just on the, you know, GoPro microphone. And probably should get it into neutral. Now look how close my foot is to the fairing. Way too close in my personal opinion. Insert date, it said. Alright, 2017 Ducati Supersport. Woo-wee! Now that, ladies and gentlemen, is what a bike should sound like stock. Oh my God, let's ride it a little more. I'm just gonna stay in sport mode, guys. Like, there's the other modes aren't bad. I feel like touring was really good, and I feel like urban, which is like the rainish mode, I think it does a significant amount to the throttle, which is a good thing. But I feel like this bike really feels good in sport mode. The way the power is delivered feels totally fine. I don't know if I would really put it in touring mode that often if I were to, you know, if I was to own the bike. Alright, so guys, 2017 Ducati Supersport. Thoughts? Amazing power delivery, especially in sport mode. Phenomenal seat, one of the best seats. This bike currently gets best motorcycle seat thus far. It just fits the bike really well. Legs feel a little cramped up. I'm 5'10", legs feel a little cramped. Power delivery is phenomenal. Body position on the bike is really great. I feel like it fits the bike really well. The bike isn't really happy going slow, especially in urban mode. The looks, that's a personal preference. I'm personally on the side of the fence that likes the looks. And I feel like this is a phenomenal compromise in the naked versus sport bike realm. You know, you got the Monster over here, you got the Panigale on the other side. This thing sits right in the middle, and I feel like it is a phenomenal motorcycle. The bike, I feel like, is gonna tend more towards the lower end torque, if you know, you're wondering more. So I would say if in the dead middle between a Panigale and a Monster, I feel like this bike is not a 5, like right in the middle, but it's more of like a 4. Not very far towards the Monster side, but just slightly. So for the pixelated helmet rating, 1 out of 5 helmets, man, I'm giving this a freaking, I'm giving it a 5. It's gonna be in the upper echelon of bikes that I've ridden. I feel like it does a lot of stuff really well, and the issues that the bike has are on the stupidly minimal side. You know, where the clutch engages, that's a clutch fix, you know what I mean? Like and those are the main issues. It's like the clutch and like the little fairing. I would Dremel and cut that fairing off, you know, and problem solved. I'm okay with giving this bike 5. All of that on top of the price, 12 grand, you can own a Ducati, and this Ducati. So who do I think the bike is for? Here's the great thing, beginners, I'm gonna throw you out of the pile. I do not feel like if you're a beginner you should get a bike like this. Yes, it has modes, but it's also going to be a bike, if you drop it, you are going to be out of some serious cash. Also, even with the modes and it being so flickable, I would kind of tend it away from beginners. If you are intermediate at all, I think this bike is going to be really awesome for a lot of people. Honestly, even brand new, 12 grand's a lot of money, so you know, you're going to have to fork up some cash, but 12 grand to get a Ducati with the feel and the character of a Ducati for such a low price point, that's a phenomenal thing, man. And I think this bike is going to make a lot of people happy. I would be totally okay doing a track day with this. I would be totally okay with riding on this for like days at a time for a trip. It's got a really nice back seat for the significant other. This is your all-around bike that can do everything, man. This is a really phenomenal job. I've loved some Ducatis that I've ridden. I can honestly say this is my favorite Ducati that I've ridden. I think it checks off the most boxes. So I got this is one of those bikes that I've got like Ducati. I tip my hat to you, man. You guys did a really great job. So high five to you guys. Hey guys, that's about all I've got for this bike. It has been a phenomenal experience riding this thing around. Big shout out to my guys at Mountain Motorsports. They're the dealership here in North Georgia that let me ride around all of their beautiful new bikes, and so I can let you guys know how they are riding them for the first time, so you can make a better informed buying decision, or you know, if you're just looking into a bike and you don't know what you want. So big shout out to those guys. Links as always to their stuff is in the description. And yeah, if you guys like this video, I'm Chaseontwowheels. This has been a Chaseontwowheels first ride of the 2017 Ducati Supersport. Great freaking bike. I'll see you guys in the next video. Later. I can honestly say I have never come into a bike thinking it was going to be meh and thought it was as good as I think this bike is. I would love to have more time on this bike. I feel like they did a phenomenal job. I would love to go on a big, like a long ride, like a couple day tour, and see how this bike does.